In.
Okay.
So, hello. Welcome to another wonderful. This is like a really good episode, guys. Stay tuned now. I need you to
Okay.
put everything down, leave the kitchen, leave the baby in the crib, leave everything alone. We have Mr. Kelvin Young with us today. Oh my goodness. Been wanting to get you on this show for so long. How are you doing, Kelvin?
I am doing great. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for this opportunity to be here with each of you and to really share my experience, strength, and hope, and just kick it with y'all. So I'm excited.
Yes.
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 That's
Looking forward.
always
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Mom, where's my manners? I didn't introduce you. You remember this beautiful
okay.
lady right here, guys.
Yes.
Good
See
evening,
how
good
what being
people.
too excited can be? Ah, so you just dive right on in. Kelvin, would you please tell this wonderful audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what you
Absolutely.
do?
Absolutely. Yes. Again, my name is Calvin Young, and I'm a certified sound healer, which I have opportunities to offer, sound healing sessions with the crystal singables, the Himalayan singables, which I'll give a little demonstration a little later on, and the
Yes.
different other healing tools to help us to deal with stress and anxiety in a very holistic way, which I'm grateful for. I'm
Excellent.
also a recovery support specialist at Intercommunity Healthcare here in Hartford, Connecticut, where I
Mhm.
work with returning citizens, formerly incarcerated individuals, and I connect them to our integrated healthcare services, such as primary care, behavioral health care, as well as addiction recovery services. And I
Excellent.
provide coaching, peer support to help to address some of the social determinants to health as well too.
Yes.
And one of the most important things that I want to share, because I think it's important for me to share, is
Mhm.
that I'm also a person that's in long-term recovery, which means I haven't used
Congratulations.
alcohol. Thank you so much.
Yes,
That means I haven't used
congratulations.
alcohol or any other drug to deal with my own mental, emotional distress since March 6th, 2009.
Wow.
And
How
yes,
many years has that been?
it'd be 13 years in March 6th.
Wow.
Yes,
13 years. Whew.
yes.
David.
Congratulations. That's a
Thank you so
major.
much. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Because
Thank
as
you.
we know, recovery, in order to maintain it, can be a battle. One can relapse many
Absolutely.
times on their road to actually
Hmm.
being in recovery.
True
Wow.
indeed. True indeed. And I learned from my own experience that recovery is about progression, not perfection. And
Ah,
oftentimes people do, have setbacks, have relapses,
mhm.
a part of their recovery journey. But that's okay. There's so much wisdom that we can learn from our setbacks and our relapses and those different challenges that we face to help us to move forward on our healing journey of recovery.
Yes, absolutely. Is sound healing one of those mechanisms that has helped you in the journey, or did that come later after you?
It came later, after many years of battling with depression, anxiety, and drug addiction. I found
Mhm.
freedom from alcohol, from marijuana, from cocaine, from heroin, and even prescription opiates like Oxycontin, Vicodins,
Mhm.
and Percocets. And for
Mhm.
me, I began that healing journey in a drug treatment program within prison.
Wow.
And it was within this prison program that I learned about the transformative powers of yoga, meditation, sound healing, even creative expressive arts like poetry and journaling. And, I had
Hmm.
a lot of misconceptions about yoga, about meditation. And to be quite blunt, I didn't see a lot of people that look like
Yes.
us, people of color,
Yes.
practicing these modalities. So I really didn't think it was for us. Honestly,
Yes.
I thought yoga was for rich white women because of the way
Wow.
it's marketed here in the United States. And
Yes.
I thought meditation was for Buddhists or hippies, and I didn't subscribe to any of that.
Yes.
But I know the things I was doing prior to going to prison, it just wasn't working for me no more. So I had to try
Exactly.
something new and try something different. And by stepping out of my comfort zone and utilizing meditation and sound healing and yoga as a vehicle to go within, because I truly do believe that healing begins from within.
Yes.
And I was able to find that sense of calmness and inner peace, even being in a very hostile and restrictive environment such as prison.
Hmm.
But most importantly, I was able to understand the root causes of my experiences with addiction. And
Yes.
from that lived experience, I learned that it was the unhealed, the emotional pain that I experienced in my life, the
Right.
unprocessed trauma that I endured from childhood, from adolescence, adulthood, and even the intergenerational ancestral trauma that my ancestors, my family, that,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
experienced
my
because that
goodness.
trauma was passed down from
Mhm.
generation
All
to
of us.
generation to generation to
Mhm.
me, because
Mhm.
those issues live in our tissues, and the
Yes,
racial
wow.
trauma, it
Issues
just,
live in our tissues.
yes, absolutely. So those issues live in our tissues, and that chronic toxic stress, it was at the root of my addiction. For so many years, I reached for something outside of myself to find that sense of relief from that distress.
Right.
And for me, I found it in alcohol and marijuana and cocaine and
Mm-hmm.
heroin and prescription opiates. And it
Mm-hmm.
worked for a while until it didn't work. And I got caught up in that very vicious cycle of addiction. But both, honestly, I could say that I'm grateful for all of my experiences in my life. I could sit here today and say that today because if it wasn't for those experiences, I wouldn't be the man that I am today. And
Yes.
chances are great, I'm going to be sitting in front of each and every one of you and your audience tonight and really talking about my lived experience and really being a support and using a holistic healing modality such as sound healing to help to really be that vehicle for us to go within and just be mindful of our inner landscape, those
Yes.
emotions, the stress, the
Yes.
tension that builds up within us, and help
Mm.
us to find healthier ways to deal with that distress instead of reaching for something outside of myself, that such as alcohol and other drugs that gave me a temporary sense of relief, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, it gave me negative consequences at the end. So there's some people that could drink, socially,
Mm-hmm.
and but I wasn't one of those
You
people.
weren't one of them.
I
Right.
drink for a different reason, right? I
Right.
drink to get drunk, and
Absolutely.
I consume to get high, to take
Yes.
me away from that pain.
Yes. And not only were you trying to find your own way to escape the pain,
Hmm.
as we know, there's a chemical reaction to
Hmm.
the brain. Those
Yes.
that dopamine, that rush, that's what
Hmm.
your brain might chase more than someone else's because addiction
Yes.
can also be genetic. And
Yes.
so all of the things that you're talking about can help someone cope with what they can't help, what's already in
Hmm.
the issues in the tissues,
Yeah.
can actually help
Yes.
you, get through that and
Yes.
heal those things. Wow, what a journey
Absolutely. Yes.
that you've
Yes.
been
And
on.
I'm still on it. You know what I mean? But
Still on it.
it just, with the grace of God, I'm just been really grateful that it's been almost 13 years today, and now having opportunities to help people that's been going through similar experiences in the greater Hartford area with addiction, mental health challenges, trauma, and to
Yes.
help them to get connected to different integrated services that we offer.
Hmm.
And, even though there's so much stigma, particularly in the Black and brown communities about mental
Yes.
health and addiction
Hmm.
treatment,
Can
Yes.
you
but
talk
just
about
really
why
share
that
my,
is?
say that again.
Can you talk about why that is for our audience?
I think a lot of it has to do with the distrust in the medical
That's
community,
exactly
and
right.
rightly so. Those
Yes.
feelings are validated because of you think about the different experiments we have at Tuskegee. One
Yes.
that comes to mind, and where black men thought they was getting free medical care, and yet they was getting injected with syphilis and being experimented on.
Exactly.
So a lot of that trauma, it goes back back then, and just the sense of mistrust, and even looking at it from the treatment, the behavioral health system. I believe it is from a Eurocentric lens, so
Hmm.
therefore not really having trust in the therapy, particular therapists that don't look like us.
Yes.
Sometimes we feel that what we said in these therapy rooms can be used against us, because
That's correct.
oftentimes many people that experience
Yeah.
different types of clinical therapy,
Hmm.
chances are, including myself in the beginning, it was against my will because it was because of some legal issues, parole, probation, or some type of legal situation that I was into. So therefore, for me to open up and feel comfortable about open up about what's really going on beyond the mask, it didn't feel safe for me to do that in many
Yeah.
places. So therefore, the stigma of just of not really seeking out treatment is an issue in our
Yes.
community, and I also believe that we have this thing about sharing about our experiences beyond our household.
Absolutely. It's
Keeping
ingrained.
Keeping everything at home.
Yeah.
Because this is our
Yeah.
business, it's family business.
Yeah.
No need to talk to a stranger about this, and
Hmm.
only entity that's outside our home that we feel comfortable and safe with generally in the Black community is the church. The Black church, whereas
Mhm.
we take everything to the Lord in prayer,
Yes.
or we take it to the pastor. Which I know that prayer works. I know that
Mhm.
having a church community works. But there's times when we had to go beyond and
Correct.
seek professional support,
Correct.
and that's what I'm seeing now, that a lot of mental health agencies are integrating with faith-based communities,
Faith-based.
and
Yes.
to really connecting with the churches in our community to help to address some of the racial trauma and the distress that we experience as a people, and
Hmm.
really we could build upon our faith, we could build upon
Hmm.
our spirituality,
Absolutely.
our religious beliefs, to
Yeah.
help us to overcome some of the challenges. But it's
Yes.
also important to know when we need professional support
Correct.
to address some of the
Absolutely.
distress that we experience in our lives.
Thank you for saying that. And I think that the church has actually come a long way in terms
Hmm.
of embracing what addiction actually is and
Hmm.
noting that it is a disease, because of the fact
Hmm.
that everything that you just said proves that people don't want to be out here on the corner in the cold, in the rain, waiting to see how they can score crack. It is
Yes.
a disease. And you've explained how people can succumb to the disease, and the fact
Hmm.
that the church has been becoming in the last, say, 10 years more open to helping people and not ostracizing them and
Hmm.
throwing the Bible at them, but rather understanding. And that takes a level of intelligence. And I think that it's a wonderful tool, because
Yes.
people, like you said, do go to church. And if that's what's helping you to stay clean, or if that's what's helping you, then continue to do it. But
Hmm.
like Kelvin said, if you need a professional, it's okay. It really is okay.
Yes, it really
You
is,
know?
and just really, I think one of the things to help to address some of the stigma is seeing people that look like us talk about their lived experience. Be
Correct.
open and honest,
Right.
and let people know that it's okay to be not okay at times.
Yes.
I think that's part of the human experience. We're going to get stressed out. We're going to get overwhelmed. We're going to feel aggravated. That's a part of being human. But when it gets to a point where it feels very overwhelming, when we're
Hmm.
dealing with intense sadness,
Hmm.
when we feel like, our nerves is bothering us,
Hmm.
we're feeling like overwhelmed with everything that's going on or piling up in our life. It's
Hmm.
okay to seek that support. I have a therapist to this day.
Yeah.
I meet with her every other week,
Excellent.
and it's good to just have someone outside the family that's kind of
Hmm.
trained to really help me to guide me within, because I believe that all of my answers to my question dwells inside of me,
Right.
and
Right.
therefore to having a therapist that can help me just to guide me on that
Absolutely.
journey, to help me to figure out some things, and help me to look at things in a different perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's very therapeutic and healing for anyone,
Anyone.
to really
Yes.
have that support there.
Hmm.
Just like if I have a pain in my teeth, I'll call a dentist.
Right.
If I have a pain in my leg, I'll call the medical doctor. And if I'm dealing with
Exactly.
different types of distress, there should be no shame of calling up a therapist that handles
That's
the
correct.
distress and issues that you're dealing with at the moment.
Yes. Mental health
I'd
is
like
just
to
as
add to
important
that
as
that
physical health. Go ahead.
Hmm.
if you go to a therapist and you are uncomfortable or dissatisfied, the same way you would change your hairdresser or your barber,
Hmm.
go somewhere else.
That's right.
Don't think, oh, therapy doesn't work for me. I tried it and that's that. It
That's
wasn't the
right.
right one. They didn't have the right philosophy, whatever. Don't give up after the first or second try. Just the same way
Hmm.
you wouldn't if you were trying to look good, you would go somewhere else. Feeding your
That's
brain,
right.
feeding your mental health is so important. And
Hmm.
also to think about I'm not saying that is absolutely crucial, and for me it would be, but to consider that you seek somebody who is African American because
Hmm.
of that racial trauma that you mentioned earlier. Other
Hmm.
people may not be able to relate to that, and that's deep in our core. And as
Hmm.
you said, it's generational and can cause, generations of worth of trauma that you have to deal with. And so you need somebody that can
Yes.
actually understand that.
Right. And just
Absolutely.
if I may, Mom, I just want to correct you and say Black, not necessarily African American, but Black.
Black, right? You have
Mhm. All right.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. And I encourage people to, if they're seeking out a therapist, 'cause my therapist look like me, which is very important, I believe.
mhm,
I encourage people to at least experience your therapist at least 3 times, at least three sessions. If you're not feeling it, then it's okay to find another therapist. And I
right.
do agree. It's good if you're black. It's good to have a therapist that or clinician that looks like us. I just really
Absolutely.
believe it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
much more effective
Yeah.
when we find someone that looks like us and can understand
Hmm.
our human experiences here in
Yes.
America.
And I like how you said, I'm going to get to the chat room in a minute. There's a couple of comments, but
Hmm.
I like how you said, give it at least 3 times, because what we as the laymen have to understand is a therapist is working their own process. It's
Hmm.
not one visit that's going to, get to the surface, not even
Right.
of what is happening. And they're working they're working their process. They're taking their notes. They're, formulating a treatment plan maybe by the fifth or sixth visit.
Hmm.
So if you really do have an issue with, say, how long it's taking, or, oh, there's no progress being made, just ask them how they do their progress. How they chart your progress, and do some research
Hmm.
on whatever type of therapy that it is that you're getting.
Yeah.
See how the
Absolutely.
process
Yes.
goes and how they might be following it or not.
Yes.
If you have to be
Yes.
in control of your healthcare, go ahead.
Absolutely. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so important that we take personal responsibility for our health and well-being.
Yes.
Nobody knows my body better than me, and
Yes.
nobody knows your body better than the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I tell people that the medical doctor, the clinician, the therapist, they work for you.
That's
So
right.
therefore, ask questions.
Yeah.
Feel free to speak up. Oftentimes, when we see those white coats, we give our authority and our power away
Yeah.
to those initials.
Immediately.
Yeah, those initials behind the name, and it's the credentials. That's well, you know what I mean. The white coats, that's cool, but at the same time, they work for us. So
Correct.
therefore, ask questions, and talk about different ways that how you want to address it, and just really know that they're there for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
All right. So the chats. Good evening again, everyone. Riri says, that's deep. Our issues are in our tissues.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
and I just want to say that Nikki Myers, she's the founder of Yoga and 12-Step Recovery, brilliant, beautiful black woman. She often says that coin, the issues are in our tissues. So I want to give her credit for that because I find that to be very, very true.
Excellent. Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Um, let's see. Dawn says this is powerful stuff, and it absolutely
Mm,
is. Chris
thank you,
says that
Don.
my layman view is that no matter the intervention, addiction will not be controlled or overcome until the addicted one has decided that he or she is really ready.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree, and for me, I've been in prison a few times, and I would get out and do the same thing over again. But it was like my last prison bid that I did where I was, that saying, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And my daughter, Tatiana, she was my inspiration for me to find an inner motivation to take advantage of all the programs that was available for me to really change my life for the better.
Wow.
Because I want to
Wow.
be the man to be the man, the father that my daughter could look up to and be
Yes.
proud of. So I took
Yeah.
advantage of all the program that was available because I was ready. I was ready to do the work, and
Yes.
it is work. It is work
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and the inside. It's doing that inner work and understand the pain and traumas and the reason why you're reaching out for something outside of yourself to deal with the pain. And there's a
Right.
reason, for that. And I had to explore that reason. And that's what sound healing and meditation, other holistic practices, was that vehicle for me to really look at my inner landscape and see what's really going on within me. Why I'm feeling the way I am and why I need a substance or a behavior to help me to feel better. There's a reason why, and I had to explore that, and exploring that with a counselor and a therapist, and embody these mind body practices. I was able to see some things that I didn't really see until it came to my conscious awareness.
That's powerful. If we
Hmm.
can all get to that level, hopefully you'll
Mm,
help us. I'm sure you
Yes.
will. One step at a time.
And I'm still on that journey.
Yes, you are. Well, you need to take us with you. I'm sure you'll get some calls tonight, some emails tonight.
Yes, please.
And I like how you mentioned your daughter, because to me, she's recovery capital. Anytime someone's in recovery and they need, people, places, and things, they tell you to change. If those are the things that were keeping you in the addiction or surrounding you while you were in it, you can also
Absolutely.
have recovery capital to kind of get you out, whatever it is to help you cope.
Absolutely.
So it was your daughter. Let's see, lots of different comments here. Jersey Girl says, can't help to think of Chelsea Chris, who took her life last week. Her mother made such a heartbreaking statement yesterday and said that even her family had no idea how bad it was until recently.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Scott says it is a disease and a form of mental illness that the medical community needs to address from the standpoint that it is a mental health crisis. Absolutely. Riri says, absolutely important to have a therapist that can relate to your troubles. My son had a white one, but they weren't feeling his struggle, so he got a Black therapist.
There you go.
There you go. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Monique says, yes, there's at least 3 times is key. Rapport building is definitely necessary for that great client-therapist relationship. Absolutely. Scott says, and those in recovery should choose meetings that are open meetings that allow you to discuss your core issues without being stifled. Pain shared is pain lessened. I love how you speak. Yes.
Woo.
All right, now. That's the church, okay?
Yes.
Jersey Girl says, my therapist has also said, only we can build from within and protect our energy and soul while doing it. Think of therapy as going to the gym or spa. Now, that's a great therapist.
Yes.
That's a great therapist.
I love that.
Scott says, also, if we're in recovery, don't address our issues will undress us. Also, if we in recovery don't address our issues will undress us.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Hey, Derek. Welcome to the Matrix. Happy to have you. Wonderful comments in the chat. Thank you, guys. Keep it coming.
Yes.
Okay.
Very powerful, and my heart goes out to, the loss. It's very tragic, and that's why it's important to show that mental health matters, and to really, have these conversations with our loved ones, with our family, with our children. If you're feeling distressed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling a deep sense of sadness, it's okay to talk to someone, even, having someone, whether it's professional support from a clinician, a therapist, a medical doctor, a psychiatrist, or even natural supports from our family and friends and loved ones, the people that truly have our best interests at heart.
Yes.
Even community supports from our churches, mosques, synagogues, temples, the 12-step communities, our people that's in our life that really helped us to move forward in our life, different community organizations and agencies. There's people really out there that really have our best interests at heart and really care about some of the struggles and challenges that we face. But we do have to take that initial step. And sometimes it can feel very scary to pick up that phone and say that I'm struggling with any type of issue, whether it's mental health or addiction issues or even physical health issues, and picking up that phone and making that phone call and getting the support that you need. But it's courageous as well, too, I believe, when we step out of that fear and move beyond that fear and pick up the phone and reach out for support. Very courageous.
I just want to say that on the flip side of that, when you see your loved one in distress, you need to have a conversation with them. Let them know that you're there to support them. Don't try to hide from it. Don't try to talk about them to other people. Talk to them directly. Say, what's going on? I've seen these behaviors. I've seen this distress on your face. I've seen that you've been depressed lately. Can you talk to me about it? And then help them to find the path that's going to get them to recovery.
That's
you
right.
Can't just, it is your problem. If it's somebody that you care about, you love, somebody in your circle, then you need to reach out to them.
Absolutely. Yes. And
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
reminded me of that African South African proverb, Ubuntu. I am because we are, and when we bring it back to, we're a community people. We thrive
Yes.
in community. I mean, we're
Absolutely.
wired to connect with other human beings.
Hmm.
So therefore, when we see another human being, our family member is struggling, let's
Hmm.
rally around them. Let's support them. Let's give them the love, the compassion, and support that they need to get the support, and so they can move forward in their life. Because I am because we are.
Yes. Absolutely. Let's see what the chat is saying.
Mhm.
Scott says that, oh, sorry, Derek says the holistic approach is needed as the mental, physical, and spiritual have to be addressed. And I think, even though Western medicine, as we were talking earlier, still is the key to most people, I think because of people like you who are coming out and speaking of the benefits of holistic medicine, that people are trusting it more. And
Mhm.
even medical doctors are acknowledging how holistic medicine has made strides, and it's done so since thousands of years ago.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
I mean,
interesting.
go
It's
ahead.
not that it's made strides. It's that the Western doctors are finally accepting that, because that's
Yeah.
going back to our roots. That's where
right,
medicine began. So
Right.
right,
it's always been there. That's the foundation that they've taken to the left, and now they're coming
Correct.
back. Well, no, there's some validity here. There's some value to that. Yeah, we've always known that. It's just
right.
them recognizing that and accepting that, and even paying for that, and allowing your insurance to pay for that in some
Mhm.
cases.
Right. Right. When
Yes,
we had my grandmother putting an onion in my sock to draw out a fever, she knew holistic medicine. She didn't go and get the
yes,
Tylenol or rub me down with rum
yes.
to get rid of.
Hmm. That's our holistic medicine right there, and
Mhm.
our ancestors, our elders, our shamans, they knew this many, many years ago. And the thing about allopathic Western medicine is, they need proof, they need science to
Yeah.
back it up, where our
Yeah.
elders knew intuitively that this worked because they were so connected with the land, with the earth, and with
Good.
spirit,
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's been around for so long, but it's starting to be accepted
Hmm.
in many different healing modalities. And the allopathic medicine, to me, is more of a disease-based model. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It
And it really
Disease-based.
focus, yeah,
create the
where,
disease, then charge you to treat.
yeah,
Yeah. Cancer's
Quote
big
unquote,
business.
never cure
yes,
it.
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, just symptom management. It seems like,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
and I do want to acknowledge that allopathic medicine is effective when you're dealing with um, acute situations or emergency situations where you need like just a very like a physical trauma or something in the emergency room, whereas that allopathic medicine is very, very beneficial. But many of us in our culture, we're dealing with chronic health conditions, and with these chronic health conditions, a lot of it has to do with lifestyle and
Yep.
what we consume in our bodies, not
Yes.
moving our bodies as much,
Yes.
the toxins that we put in our bodies, the
Yes.
toxin that we breathe in our bodies, the
Hmm.
the hair products, the skin products we put on our bodies, all those
Yep.
toxins,
Preach.
it affects our holistic well-being, and we're more than just our physical bodies. There's a
Hmm.
mental, there's emotional, there's a spiritual essence of us ourselves as well too. And that makes up the totality of who we are. That makes up the holistic aspects of who we are. So addressing ourselves in a holistic way it's just it makes sense,
It does.
and whereas allopathic medicine, they separate things,
Hmm.
the mind and the body. But the mind and bodies are intimately connected. What affects my mind affects my body. What affects my body affects my mind. So therefore, you can't keep it separate. You gotta work together with it because it's intimately connected. The systems, they work together in our
Yes.
lives. So
Well said.
yes.
I've never heard it described in such an eloquent and like very, a way that anybody can understand it in that
Mm,
way. It's
mm,
awesome.
thank you.
Um, let's see what else is happening in the chat room. So Scott says that he's writing a paper right now on the opioid crisis, or should I say pandemic, right?
Hmm.
Chris says mental health does matter, but Black people, especially Black men, need to accept it as such and not continue to see it as a white people thing or a woman thing.
Mm-hmm.
Amen, Chris. Amen. Derek says that the 12-step anonymous programs also work as the therapeutic value of one as the therapeutic value of one affects speech and encouraging another is without parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
True.
Scott says one thing that addicts do in the throes of addiction, we misinterpret the question, are you all right? That is not a physical question. It's a spiritual question. Yes. And I like to say, you know, when I was counseling people with addiction, I would say, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Not are you all right? What happened?
Yeah.
Or why are you feeling like this? Let's get to the root of it, not just are you all right? Because if you're in the throes of addiction, you might just tell me, yeah, so that I can move on.
Right, absolutely.
To the next question. You might not want me to dig deeper, but if I ask, you know, if I do a motivational interview with you and really get to the crux of it, I might be able to help you get
those open-ended questions. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So can we spend a little, just a moment? You mentioned something to me that's so crucial, what we put in our bodies, what we put on our skin, and how that affects our mental health, because I know you're a health guru. I know you're a vegan. You don't put certain things in your temple. So can you talk a little bit about that journey and how you got into that?
Yeah, it was, you know, my family, my mother and father, they came from South Carolina. You know, my father's 87 years old, so they grew up in a different time, you know, and it's my father had colon cancer. My father had diabetes, different health issues. So when I got out of prison and I really was changing my life around, I wanted to take a more proactive approach to my health, you know, because I did some research and I found how certain animal proteins, such as red meat, and how that exacerbates certain types of cancer for men, particularly Black men.
Really?
And so I wanted to take a more proactive approach, you know, to my health and well-being. So I started cutting out certain meats, you know, and I started off with pork and beef at first, you know, then I went to turkey and chicken and, different, animals like that. Then I saved fish for last. And
you don't even eat fish. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot. Vegans do not eat fish.
Yeah. And I was vegan for about 5 years. I'm more vegetarian now, more plant-based, mindful now, and even though like a lot of veganism is more of a lifestyle, and I have a lot of friends that are into the veganism, animal rights, and everything. But more for me, I'm more of health conscious, you know, even though I don't wear no leather and different things like that. For me, it's more health conscious. So more, I would say I'm plant-based, vegetarian lifestyle. And it just, you notice the difference of putting more plants, because the food that we eat is like our gasoline to our cars. You know, it's the fuel that we need in order to thrive in life. And a lot of the foods that we consume today, even the plants, it's not how like my grandmother and her farm, how her collard greens are. You know what I mean? How her beans was, how her green beans was, and even the animal proteins that they ate is much different than the animals that people eat today. You know, it's just filled with so much toxins in their bodies, chemicals in their bodies, and we consume that. You know, and the way that a lot of these animals are slaughtered. Yeah.
You know,
a lot of these animals, how they being slaughtered, you know, it's traumatizing, and we eat that trauma.
And we eat that trauma.
Yeah. You know, and it comes in our bodies. So therefore, we wonder why all these different chronic health conditions are on the rise right now. Certain cancers are on the rise right now. Certain things on the rise. So when I did my research, I kind of I want to be more plant based, and you know, and honestly, there's a lot of vegan crap out there too, you know, and I found that out the hard way too. You know, I don't.
Cookies. They say,
Oreos are vegan, and I love Oreos. You know what I mean? So straight up, but I got to be mindful.
In the house about 3 times a year. That's it.
Exactly, but I got to be mindful and know that nowadays I know that when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed or anxious, I reach for sweets, So therefore, I got to be mindful of how I'm putting these chemicals, these foods in my body, and why I'm eating, because dealing with a lot of distress, I could tend to overeat. I could tend to emotionally eat, So just being aware of your body, aware what's going on. And that's why meditation and mindfulness practices and sound healing practices, it really is helpful because we're aware of what's going on within our bodies. We're aware what coming up within us emotionally. We're aware what thoughts that's coming up in our conscious awareness. So therefore, just being aware and present to what's happening and knowing that. And I think one of the greatest powers that human beings have is the power of choice. So therefore, once we know how we're feeling, we have the power to choose which direction we want to go. And I realize whatever choice, there's a consequence to it. Whether that consequence is positive or negative, it depends on the choices that I make in my life, And like I could choose to eat a whole rack of Oreos if I want to, but the consequence for me is, I'm gonna have all kinds of physical aches, my belly aches, you know what I mean? I might have that hyper and feel crash, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when I know I'm emotionally eating, and having that awareness, I could bring myself back into balance, not beat
Yeah.
myself up, just recognize where I'm at. And, again, the recovery process is all about progression, not perfection. And I believe the same concept applies to our healing process. It's all about progression, not perfection. And just really be mindful of the balance that I have in my life is very important. But like health is more than just what we consume in our bodies, but that's a big component to it.
It is.
But it's what we listen to, even the music that we listen to, it affects our consciousness, it's energy, and even the things that we watch, it affects our consciousness as well too, because that's energy as well too. So the things that we consume, whether we're eating, food,
Yeah.
or whether we listening to music or whether we're watching something, we consuming all that energy, all those vibrations from the food, from the movies, from television, and from the music that we listen to, and it
Wow.
does have a profound effect on our nervous system as well.
And when the nervous system is impacted, that's when we have the autoimmune diseases and such. That's when we're more
Absolutely,
susceptible.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, and we're so like bombarded by so much external stimulus coming at us
Oh,
twenty
for
four
sure.
seven. You
Especially
know,
now. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So therefore, we could be in bed for 8 hours at night, but still didn't get restful sleep. We waking up exhausted because our mind is overactive, overstimulated. We
Right.
can't get no rest. We're worrying about different things in our life. But when we have different mind body practices that help us to deal with the distress, help us,
Mhm.
a practice that helps us to go to sleep and sleep effectively.
Mhm.
There's different, even I'm being in recovery, but I utilize CBD oils. CBD
Yes.
oils, it helps me to
Yes.
to um to the sleep. It helps me with certain pains. And
Mhm.
part of my work is try to incorporate CBD oils within the behavioral health and addiction recovery as well too, because I think
Excellent.
there's a lot of stigma, a lot of misconceptions about CBD oils as well too. But I know
Mhm.
the medicinal value of CBD, and it works for me, and it works for so many other people. It may not work for some people, but it,
Mhm.
it works for a lot of people as well, and it helps me to sleep at night as well too.
Yeah.
And it's different like things that we can really utilize to help us to gain a sense of well-being and health, and to really bring us back into home, bring us back home, back into homeostasis, back into balance. But it takes us. We got to do the work, and we got so much things out there to keep us distracted
Yes.
for doing that inner work that we need to do and taking care of ourselves,
Yeah.
and I think it's by design,
It is.
and
Yes, I was going to say that.
yeah.
Mhm.
So therefore, it's like when we see what's going on, you know what I mean, and we're aware of it, and when we do practices to help us to connect with our spirit, so we could be in tune. We see with this third eye, it has that intuitive vision that we can see things. We can
Mhm.
see beyond the veil and see
Mhm.
what's really going on, behind the curtains.
Yeah.
And we could be in this world but not of it, so to speak. You know what I mean? Whereas we could walk the way we want to walk and talk the way we want to talk, and we could stand strong and be our true authentic self in
Yes.
this journey that we call life.
Absolutely. And if you do look behind the curtain and you're scared about what you see and you wish you hadn't have seen it, then
Hmm.
what? Then you seek a
Yeah.
therapist, then you talk to somebody.
Hmm.
But I think people are
Yes.
scared to not be distracted. I think people are scared to have their mind quieted. What might arise? What
Hmm.
might I think about? What
Yeah.
fears might become unearthed? but
Hmm.
we have the potential as human beings to deal with them, with what Kelvin's talking about. Like you said, we have the answers here. It's
Hmm.
about how to get to them and how to
Yes.
quiet our mind enough to even hear them. I'm trying myself. I'm trying to quiet my mind. Can you
Hmm.
talk about that? Like, how do you help people quiet their mind in meditation? And do you have any meditation videos on your YouTube that people can look at tonight and start a practice? Start practicing?
I do have I don't have my own personal page, but if you type in my name, Calvin Young, and sound healing, different things that I've done with other people that's on YouTube, they can find me there. But I'm in the process
Excellent.
right now of creating an online course about sound healing practices for mental
Wow.
wellness, where I have like 5 different practices that we can use, such as metal bowls and crystal bowls and drums that we can use as a form of sound therapy, but also binaural beats that we can listen to help us to balance both hemispheres in our brains, but even using our voice, practice vocal toning and even humming. You know, our ancestors, our grandmother, it might have been humming. That's a form of sound healing. That's a sound healing therapy
Wow.
that people use in our culture for many, many years, you know, whereas
Yeah.
the vibration of us humming, it vibrates the cells, the trillions of cells within our bodies, you know,
Oh, I
and
just felt it for the first time.
yeah.
Mm,
Like
Hmm.
chanting.
And
yes.
if you do that for
Wow.
5 minutes, yeah, you do that for 5 minutes, you have a profound, you'll feel different. You feel, and that's a
Really?
form of sound healing. And our bodies are made of over 70% water, mostly water. So therefore, the vibrations that that we make with our voice, you know, and we keeping all those vibrations inside when we hum. We keeping all those vibrations because our mouth is closed. When we hum, mm, we stimulating the vagus nerve, also known as the relaxation response, the rest and digest, and it's activating that relaxation response within our bodies, that parasympathetic nervous system within our bodies, and also vocal toning. You know, with vocal toning, most people use vowel sounds, and that sound healing technique was used in ancient Kemet many years ago, known as Egypt, and how they use vocal toning as a form of sound healing to do the same, have the same profound effect of it's really bringing us to a place of calmness, relaxation, and a state of homeostasis. Also, you know, using music, you know, creating a playlist
Yeah.
to help us to listen to certain sounds and music that help us to address whatever emotion that comes up within our hearts, whether it's sadness, grief, despair, or joy, love, happiness, or any other raw human emotion in between. There's
Mhm.
something about music. There's always a song, a melody, a hook,
Mhm.
a beat that can connect to any raw human emotion that I feel in my heart.
Yeah.
And you know, music's been my therapy for many years.
Yeah.
So encouraging people
Mine
to
as
pick
well.
out different songs that resonate with you during different times in your life, and creating a playlist and having that playlist that you could go to when you're feeling any raw human emotion that comes up within us, within our bodies. And just really how to we use these tools to really create mental wellness. So I'll be creating that soon. But like the
Can't
meditation
wait.
practice that we can
Hmm.
use,
Hmm.
you know, to help us to, you know, sound for me, it helps me to keep me in the present moment. It helps me keep me anchored. Because when I was in prison and when I was practicing meditation, it was hard for me just to sit in silence. I mean, there was a lot of other sounds going on in prison, but you know, it was hard for me to sit in silence and just really focus on my breath. But when I incorporated sound was that great anchor to keep me into the present moment. And when my mind drifts away, and naturally it will,
Hmm.
and when I'm conscious of my mind is drifting away, I just gently bring my conscious awareness back to the sounds in a very loving, compassionate, and non-judgmental way. And there's different meditation practice that we can incorporate. Some people it's hard for people to sit still, but there's moving meditation. Qigong and Tai Chi is a form of moving meditation.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, even walking. There's the forms of walking. The late Thich Nhat Hanh, he always practiced walking meditation as well too. But even washing the dishes, cleaning your house, it could be a
That's where
form
I
of
get great
meditation.
thoughts, Kelvin, when I'm washing
Yes,
the dishes.
yeah.
I always get... So that's what I'm doing.
It could be when you focus in on the dishes and feeling the water in your hands and just
Yeah.
taking that time to be mindfully just washing that dish. that could be a
Yeah.
form of meditation for you. It could be any activity that's taking us, that we bringing all our focus and attention on that one particular thing,
Yeah.
in whatever it may be for us,
Yeah.
even cutting the grass for me is a form
Mhm.
of mindfulness for me, where I'm really mindful of how I'm cutting the grass and how it's looking, and I love the before and after effect of that. So there's so many different
Right.
mindfulness meditation practice that we can really incorporate in our lives, and I'd love to share, a meditation practice before we go, to help us to
Awesome.
get us to the calm and relaxed space. And
Awesome.
for me, like when I, embodied these practices while I was in prison, it allowed me to go within, and I was able to see, all those emotions that kept me in that very vicious cycle of addiction. And there was a lot of drugs in prison, like it was like in the communities as well too. But I chose not to do it because I wanted to make a difference in my life. I wanted to change my life for the better, and my daughter was that inspiration. And
Mhm.
once I started embodying these practices with meditation, I was able to see all those emotions that are suppressed under influence of alcohol and other drugs, and it was able to come to the surface for me, and I was able to process those emotions in a very therapeutic way through poetry. And I love to share a poem that I wrote while I was in prison that was very therapeutic for me then, to help me to process my raw human emotions, and a very therapeutic for me now to share it with everyone here
Oh,
tonight.
thank you. Awesome.
And the name of this poem is called Eyes of a Silent Sun.
Okay.
Look into my eyes and tell me what you see. Is it a lost soul with no control, trying to be free? As I look into the mirror and stare into my eyes, I see all the anger and self-hate, hypocrisy and lies. I see resentment, frustration, embarrassment and pain. I see jail bars and fancy cars as I cruise down memory lane. I see the feelings I repressed, going back to childhood. I need to let go of those feelings. I would if I could.
Mm.
I see the hurt that I caused to the ones I love the most. I see my brother on his wedding day as we celebrate with a toast. I see the good and bad times that I experienced in my life, but it's so hard to let go of all that bitterness and strife. There's a sense of sadness when you look into my eyes, like the ones you see when a close relative dies. But this death is not physical, it has to do with the soul. It's that morbid feeling we get when our spiritual energy is low. It's like nothing matters anymore, like that day when I was fired, feeling depressed and weak, can't sleep but I'm so tired. I'm tired of all the pain, the hurt, and the rain, from that cloud that keeps following me. Sometimes I think I'm insane. But when I look out the window and see the beauty of the lake, it reminds me of good times, like when I was 9 and things were fine. And with the sunrise, I can feel the presence of the Creator. When I look out my window, I see me in the beauty of nature. I'm a part of God's creation, nature, and humanity. The loving spirit that's in Jesus is also in me. So I learned to love myself and others just for who we are. And I learned all about this love looking out my window with jail bars.
Oh, wow.
And it was that poem. Let me put my charger in. I don't want to,
Wow.
my battery
Sure.
is dying. Just one moment.
Sure. That was a beautiful and profound piece.
Thank you so much. And it was because of practicing meditation, I
Hmm.
was able to go within and connect to that shame and guilt that often keep people like myself in that very vicious cycle of addiction.
Right.
But I was able to move past that shame and guilt and connect to the true essence of who I am. And
Yeah.
I believe the true essence that each and every one of us are. And the essence I'm talking about is the unconditional agape love. And for me, love is more than just a human emotion. I believe that love is a vibration, it's a frequency, and it's also a natural state of being. So once I was able to understand that the same loving divine essence that created the sun, the moon, the stars, all the beauty of nature, it
Hmm.
created me, it created each and every one of you. And that
Amen.
helped me to shift my mentality from more of a victim mentality. Oh, I'm
Wow.
an addict, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a convicted felon, I'm a high school dropout, to more of an empowered mentality.
Yeah.
And if I want to get esoteric and metaphysical, I understand that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And I understand that
Exactly.
life is about learning,
Ooh.
growing, and evolving from all of our experiences. And by really going within with meditation, I was able to just shift the way I see myself, the world, and the people in it. And for me, that's where healing begins, by shifting the way we look at ourselves, the way we look at other people, the way our worldview and how we shift that, and how we can really help us to move through life in a way that works best for us. So I encourage people to try meditation. As a matter of fact, we're about to try some right now. If y'all like, if
Yes,
y'all open to it.
yes.
So
Can I read the chat really quick before we begin? Just
absolutely,
in case we
yes.
don't have any more time before we finish.
Okay.
Um, let's see. So Scott also wanted to continue what he was saying earlier as far as that question of are you all right should never be used. He
Mm-hmm.
said that for 27 years, so let me actually read the whole thing again. So he said the
Mm-hmm.
question of are you all right should never be used by a therapist. If they do find a new one, that question is normally asked by a family member or members in the community. I was in active addiction for 27 years and now clean for 16. Congratulations again,
Oh,
Scott.
that's congratulations, Scott. Yes.
That question was asked of me 1,000 times by people who knew and knew I wasn't all right, but I never answered in the affirmative no.
Mm-hmm.
Monique says, I love
Yep.
binaural beats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know how to pronounce it. I'm gonna have to look that
No, you
up
got
again.
it. You got it.
Binaural beats.
Mm-hmm.
Those different frequency meditations helped to bring my blood pressure down months ago. And
Yes.
it's so
Yes.
healing and relaxing. You know, my daughter Autumn had she had bitten her tongue
Mm-hmm.
and healed it last week. I can't remember what the name of the meditation was. I think it started with this, well, you never mind. But she looked up a meditation for tissue healing and it worked
Yes.
a certain frequency
Oh my
that she
goodness.
used.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
Yes.
it. Um, let's see. Debs agrees with you and says that music is definitely her therapy.
Mm-hmm.
She says there are certain times tunes that she avoids as they make her sad. Judy's in the chat. Hi,
Mm-hmm.
Judy. Welcome back. Riri says, all right now. Come on, Primally Poetic. Loving your
Yeah.
poetry.
Thank you.
We have
Thank
to have
you.
you on Primally Poetic. Nazaline says, awareness of the stillness. Thanks for sharing inside you, a ribbon that connects us in the spaces in between. Love it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Scott says that we are people in the grip of a continuing and progressive illness whose ends are always the same: jail institutions, and death. Who is an
That's
addict?
right.
NA 1976.
Mm.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
Thank you so much, guys, for your comments and stuff. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Powerful. You're
at this time,
impacting people as usual. Okay. We're quiet
thank
now.
you.
So we can.
No, it's all good. It's all good. For the people that want to participate,
Mhm.
I invite you now to either close your eyes
Okay.
or bring a soft gaze to the floor or keep your eyes open, whatever feels most comfortable and safe for you. I invite you to do so at this moment. As we take this opportunity to check in with our bodies, notice any sensations that we may be feeling at this moment. Notice any thoughts that may be coming to our conscious awareness, or any emotions that might be arising within us. Let's just take this moment just to check in with ourselves, to notice how we're feeling in a very loving, compassionate, and non-judgmental way. As we take this opportunity to simply just be. And as you take this time to relieve stress, find inner peace and balance through the transformative powers of sound. I'll invite you now to take a nice deep breath in and a long breath out. do this 2 more times. Take a nice deep breath in and a long breath out. One more time. Take a nice deep breath in and a long breath out. And at this time, I invite you to bring your focus, your attention, and your awareness to the sound you hear in the comfort of your own space. And if your mind happened to drift away to, that infamous to-do list, or all those text messages and emails you need to respond to, or any other stressors or responsibilities that you have in your life, I invite you to gently bring your focus, your attention, and your awareness back to the sounds. Allow the sounds to be your anchor into the present moment. Allow it to be a gentle reminder to each and every one of us that the only time that we truly have on this journey that we call life is now. Thank you so much, everyone, for this opportunity to be here. And I just want to encourage people to do whatever it is to help us to nourish ourselves, to take care of ourselves, because I believe that self care is a form of self love. And when we do the things that honor and nurture ourselves in a holistic way, meaning mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well as physically, is a true act of self love. Because when we take that time out to relieve stress, to find that inner peace and balance, we can rationally respond to situations instead of emotionally reacting to them. And I
Mm,
know when I emotionally react to things, I say things and I do things that I later regret.
yeah.
When we're less stressed and more relaxed, we think clearly, we make better decisions and choices that resonate with our greater good. We're able to strengthen our immune system, decrease our heart rate and our blood pressure, gain more mental clarity and insight. We're able to tap into that love, that peace, that happiness that dwells inside of each and every one of our hearts. All we need to do is take this time out like we did tonight and simply just be. Knowing that inner peace and the unconditional agape love is our natural state of being.
Wow.
Thank y'all, ladies. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be
Ooh,
here with y'all tonight and just have this opportunity to share and just and connect and chop it up with y'all
yes.
too tonight. So thank y'all so
Yes.
much.
Oh, you are a blessing. Thank you. The pleasure is both of ours. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Honored to be
All
here.
of us.
Honored. Thank you.
Yes.
We're gonna have
Come
to,
back.
maybe we have to put you on here once a week or something.
Hey, let's make it happen. If my schedule permits, I'll be here.
Okay. I'll be calling.
Okay, that's what it
Thank
is.
you. Thank
Thank
you,
you so
brother.
much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you.
All
Absolutely.
right,
Thank you,
thank you.
Kelvin.
All
Have a
right.
wonderful evening. I'm sure the rest of
Too
us will
now.
because of you tonight. Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much. I
you.
honor both of y'all. Thank you.
Thank you very
Good
much,
night, everyone.
Kelvin. Good
Thank you.
night. So
Good night.
listen, everybody, Heart of Soul is up next on Primal. Please tune in. I'll be in the chat room dancing along with you with Daddy Lion. And then after Heart of Soul, we have Musical Emancipation with Father Bird. So stay locked, all right? Have a good night.
Oh, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.